Another world, another time, in the age of wonder.
You are listening to
Trial by Stone.
Trial by Stone!
Trial by Stone!
This is what I came for.
Your vital essence, the Dark Crystal.
I can feel something. Hear it almost.
Don't move.
Don't move? Where would I go?
Quiet!
Hello and welcome to Trial by Stone. This is your vital essence on the Dark Crystal. I'm your host, Philip Mitchell. Just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. As, of course, we continue anticipating the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance due to be released on August the 30th on Netflix. And, of course, with all the episodes, with me is Jaime Prater, my co-host. Jaime, how have you been going?
Things are well, my friend. Things are well. Next month, the show drops. Can you believe it?
I know, it's insane. It's like we're already in July, and we only got a month to go, essentially. I mean, a month and a couple of weeks, if we're being really specific. But yeah, I mean, next month is when it's all gonna go down, and I mean, especially. Well, this month is going to go down in a big way with San Diego Comic-Con, with the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance getting a panel in Hall H alongside another show.
Yeah, alongside The Witcher, which looks exciting.
Absolutely. So we're definitely going to get into that, in the show as well. I know I usually have Ethan with us on this episode, though unfortunately, due to sort of scheduling of getting us three together, it just unfortunately didn't work out. But I'm sure we'll definitely have him back in the next episode of Trial by Stone. And I mean, we just wanted to record something because there was a lot to go through, and we'll go through as much as we can, and just take it from there. I guess we might start off with what's happening with the podcast. Actually, recently we released we got a new logo for Trial by Stone, and as well as the website for the podcast. So we now have a website for Trial by Stone, which is at darkcrystalpodcast.com. So that's really exciting. I mean, I really loved the logo that was done by Scott Fuller, who did the logo for us, as well as that Facebook banner, which you can see that on facebook.com/darkcrystalpodcast. And it's just been something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Doing this bit of a refresh for the podcast, having a new look for the show. So with Age of Resistance, sort of coming around the corner, we thought it'd be sort of, be great to have a new look for the podcast. And yeah, I mean, I really loved Scott's logo, was really fantastic. And I will say, the previous logo that we had, David Easter, it was a fantastic logo as well. I really, enjoyed that one too. But for this year, just wanted to sort of, just change it up a bit for this year. So it was all really exciting to announce that. And really positive vibes from the logo and as well as the website. Yeah,
absolutely. Scott Fuller, who designed the banner image and the logo, he's a friend of ours that we've known since maybe fall of 2015, when Phil and I, as some people might know, Phil and I were working on a documentary that never got off the ground. It doesn't matter because we have Age of Resistance. But Scott is an incredible artist, and he really put together something that is wholly unique to the Dark Crystal and unique to Phil's original vision of Trial by Stone, and I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I mean, it is quite a drastic different for the logo. Focusing on having the image being sort of the Dark Crystal, the Crystal of Truth, so to speak, sort of being the main focus of sort of to just to having an image that people know the instant they look at that logo, it's like, that is a Dark Crystal podcast. So in the past, Scott, he worked on, we had the teaser poster for the documentary. We did, worked on, and we tried to do crowdfunding through Indiegogo, and, it fell through, unfortunately. But his poster at the time, I mean, it still is now, actually. It's still an amazing poster.
Maybe we'll show that poster at some point eventually. But I just love the look of the Trial by Stone logo, and it's fresh, it's on point, and relatable to the Netflix imagery and just kind of the future of the show and what's in store. And there's a lot in store that we'll eventually hopefully talk about.
Absolutely, yeah. So definitely check out the website at darkcrystalpodcast.com. I mean, that's been a website I've been sort of working behind the scenes for a good couple of months doing that. So that's sort of been a little project I've been, thinking of doing for a long time, and now that's going to be the place, where it'll be probably a lot more easily accessible for a lot of people to discover the podcast through the website, where they can subscribe to the show, they can download the episodes there, and also there'll be lots of Dark Crystal news as well. So if there's any sort of breaking news, definitely expect to see some of that happening through darkcrystalpodcast.com. Which is all really exciting. And then, of course, in the previous episode, we did have the contest where we did give away the teaser poster for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So I just might as well announce the winners, of course. I know they have been notified, but I just want to send out the congratulations to Sophia Azura, Angelo Guida, and Sydney Frost. So just wanted to send congratulations to them on winning the poster for answering the 3 questions during the previous episode of Trial by Stone. And yeah, so that was pretty awesome. And I'm sure we'll have many, many more contests down the line in the future. So watch this space.
Yes, awesome. And I also want to thank Luke Serafin, who is head of publicity at Netflix. Thank you, Luke, for giving us permission to give those posters away. Those posters are really great. I'm not sure what Netflix has in store, but I'm sure we'd hopefully like to partner with them. But it was just nice of them. We just felt like it was important to go through them before we gave away anything, even if it was free. And they were really great about it. And so, yeah, thanks, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, big thanks to Luke from Netflix. And of course, for the Crystal Shard. So that started the whole, contest collaboration with the podcast and all that. So that was really exciting. Yeah, I mean, what was exciting actually with the poster was, I think we found out that there was like these coordinates that were sort of on this like the stone slab with the mystic symbols, and then actually, I mean, a fan, I think Topias, figured out what the coordinates are, and then the next day it was revealed that they're planning to do an exhibition for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, which is happening in Southbank, BFI Southbank in London. And I think they're calling it Into Thra, the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance exhibition.
But what's interesting, though, about the thing, about the event or the whatever it is that you call it that's happening at BFI is Netflix / Henson released this poster that's not the teaser poster that we've all seen of Breet, Rian, and Brea, but it's a picture of the crystal, and it's very stylized. It almost reminds me of art that you would see by, what's her name, Frida Kahlo's husband. It's got that almost Mexican Spanish vibe to it, but there's all sorts of Easter eggs in this poster. And at the bottom, like you said, Phil, there are all these symbols which look like they're on rocks that are mystic symbols, I suppose. And Tobias Rowe got it all correct, and they sent him a free poster, I believe, and free tickets.
Yeah, they certainly did. So, which was really exciting when he won that, and he's actually starting up his own sort of YouTube channel for the Dark Crystal called Visions of the Dark Crystal. So I know he posted he did post a video about sort of his breakdown of the video and sort of how he figured out the coordinates to BFI Southbank that was sort of part of the poster. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, so you could definitely, I think if you go on YouTube, just search for Visions of the Dark Crystal and you should be able to find it. He's also on Facebook, so you can find him there as well. So no, it was a pretty cool poster. I will admit, yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought it was really great. It's what I loved about it was that it was different. And I know some people were like, I don't know, they're not sure. But I love that it was different. I love that they're taking risks. I mean, do I think that this show deserves a Brian Froud specific poster? Absolutely. Just in the spirit of the original film, just to kind of keep things continuous, if that's a word, keep the continuity. I think, I hope that they have that in store. I think we just have to have a Brian Froud poster, but we'll see. I mean, there's a lot to come, I would imagine. Before we move on, though, I just want to say to those who will be at the San Diego Comic-Con, the Netflix panel, which has been announced, and it says the cast of Age of Resistance will be in attendance. We don't know what that means, whether it's puppetry cast or voice cast or some of both. I will be there, hopefully wearing my Trial by Stone t-shirt. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I have to get it printed. But yes, Trial by Stone will have a presence there, so it should be a really exciting time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we might as well talk about that. I mean, it was something I did post about on the website at darkcrystalpodcast.com. I mean, it was funny when I did the first blog post, it was sort of like a general thing about, yeah, that's happening. We just don't know what time or where it's going to be, sort of thing. We just know it's happening. And then probably like I think it was like an hour later that they updated the details. That is going to be in Hall H. That's going to be back to back with The Witcher, which is another show from Netflix that's going to come out later this fall. And so the Dark Crystal is going to have a big panel at Hall H, which is fantastic. I don't know if Dark Crystal has ever had a Hall H presence. I'm not too sure if they did during Power of the Dark Crystal. I think that might have appeared in a smaller panel capacity, but which is really awesome, and I think it definitely made sense for them. I mean, we did always speculate about whether they might appear at San Diego Comic-Con. It was really just based on when the show was coming out, but with the show coming out in August, it definitely makes sense to really push Age of Resistance out there. So to push it out there on San Diego is
and really Age of Resistance for me, or I perceive it as Netflix Star Wars, Netflix Game of Thrones. It's huge. I mean, from what we can guess, the budget for the show was probably one of the biggest budgets they've ever had, and it's going to launch figures and books and so many things and comics. So it makes sense that Netflix is going to go all out to really push it, which will hopefully bring new viewers to Netflix, which means more money, which means hopefully more seasons. So it's exciting. We don't really know, again, for sure what is happening. We know that some cast will be there. There was some speculation that they were going to show some of the series at the panel, but again, that's just speculation. I just saw that in another group somewhere. They're like, oh, it looks like there might be footage there, but I don't know. It'll be exciting nonetheless. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think the panel goes for about like an hour and 15 minutes. So I'd be curious like how much they're going to reveal, like if they're just going to put snippets from the show, or whether they'll actually end up, hey, let's play a whole episode, and there you go. But we do know that London, England, with BFI Southbank, they have announced that there will be the premiere screening, worldwide public screening, so depending on your point of view, I guess, that's going to be on the 22nd of August, so which is 8 days before the show comes out. But yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting nonetheless about what they're going to show, and I think there'll be probably a lot of surprises in store for that panel. So yeah, I mean, we can definitely say that, I mean, you will definitely be there at San Diego Comic-Con. So I mean, that's really exciting, being able to cover it all for the podcast. And I'm sure we'll probably record a show pretty much soon after the panel or whenever, to sort of break down what happened.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to be on the phone with Phil, at least texting you saying, hey, this is what I see. This is what's going on. And I'll be taking as many photos as I can that they allow. I don't know if they'll allow me to video or use my phone and film. Hopefully they will. If not, I will definitely give a full report. Whatever happens, we'll be talking about it. So it'll be an exciting time. It's going to be a crazy day in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So we just got a lot to look forward to. And I think really San Diego Comic-Con is probably when it's just going to ramp up so much more excitement for the Dark Crystal. And it's just it's just going to be just incredible, just awesome. So I mean, with all that, I mean, just going through just some of the many things that has happened in the last sort of couple of weeks since like the last episode. Because, I mean, a lot has really happened. And one of the announcements, I mean, we talked about sort of, the things to come for all things Dark Crystal. And Boom Studios actually announced the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance prequel comics that are going to come out in September this year. So, which is all really cool. Because, I mean, at the moment, I mean, with Boom Studios, they're currently wrapping up with Beneath the Dark Crystal, which is a sequel to the sequel of the original film, the sequel to the Power of the Dark Crystal comic book series. So that's actually getting all wrapped up in August, so a couple of weeks before the show is out. And yeah, I mean, it's something I've been, curious about what they were going to do next with comics after Beneath the Dark Crystal. And yeah, I mean, it was awesome that we got that announcement. This was on the 21st of June that they're doing a new 12-issue comic book series based on a story from Age of Resistance. And, with these comics, we've got Jeffrey Addis and Will Matthews, the creators of the show. They're involved in some aspect, like, with the story of the comics. So it's definitely going to have some connective tissue, I would believe, with these comic book series. Just want to know your thoughts. Yeah.
It looks really interesting. I think, again, really good step to tell other stories set within the world of Age of Resistance. I think Beneath, I always joke, I call Beneath the Dark Crystal, Beneath the Dignity of the Dark Crystal. Really well. It really beautiful. Great art. I just don't think that the story, I think the Dark Crystal lore is best served by not retelling events of the original. And I think the Beneath stories kind of went a little too far. I think now with the Age of Resistance, and I don't know what canon is or what canon isn't, to be honest with you, but I just felt like Beneath just kind of floundered a little bit. Let's just kind of like took the lore of the Dark Crystal and was kind of like, what is this? What are you doing? But I also think that the series was started, this is again speculation on my part, the series was started before Age of Resistance was a reality. So there's probably some mixed signals. Whatever the case is, whether you like it or you don't, it's great that there's content. If you're interested in more Dark Crystal, go buy Beneath the Dark Crystal. Go buy Power of the Dark Crystal. I might not like it or agree with it all, but it's great that it's there. It's just a lot of things to discuss and to ingest and to have fun with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've had previous episodes of the podcast where I chatted to Philip Kennedy Johnson, and who co-wrote Power of the Dark Crystal, and as well as Adam Smith, who wrote Beneath the Dark Crystal. And I mean, I had a great time chatting to them. But yeah, I know that the writing is probably not the writing itself, but more the story, especially with Power of the Dark Crystal, was always sort of a mixed bag. I think in particular with, bringing back the Skeksis and Mystics back, it's sort of like, because in a way their story was really wrapped up in the Dark Crystal. There wasn't really any necessity to really bring them back, other than for nostalgic value, I guess. But I mean, there are things I do, enjoy about those comics. I mean, especially like with the filing creatures that we see in those comics that, they're really interesting. We sort of get to know them a bit more in Beneath the Dark Crystal. So that was all kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, again, and I love that there are people out there that, there are fans that love it as well. So which is really cool. Like, I'm happy that at least there's been an audience out there that've been enjoying it, which is really cool. And yeah, but yeah, I definitely love that they're sort of going back to the Age of Resistance era. I guess I'm just more surprised there's just so many tie-ins to the show. I mean, not only with the comics, but also with Joe's books and now the show.
The figures, the Funko figures. Also, we have learned that Weta has made... We haven't seen anything. I'm hearing that they're going to be unveiled. No, they announced that it was going to be unveiled at San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Weta has made really special figures based off some of the figures of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So that's awesome. I mean, Weta does some spectacular work. A friend of mine named Stephen Saunders, who was one of the miniature artists for Blade Runner 2049, worked on some of the Dark Crystal figures. I don't know what he's done or whatever, but it's just going to be great to see the craftsmanship, because it is just the top of the top. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, their work is always incredible, and every time, like, there's been times in the past I'd go visit their website and just seeing all the figurines, I'm just like, I just want them all. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, of course, so it's like there'll be some of those figurines, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. Just to put on a wall, put on a shelf somewhere, just to admire it, and it's going to be very tempting once they, reveal what they're going to show for at San Diego Comic-Con, so, which is really exciting, so... And of course, you'll be there as well. So, I mean, hopefully you'll be able to get a first look at these figurines for the collectibles, yeah.
Totally. And I will be Skyping Phil, so I'll turn the Skype so he can see. So Phil will be with me. Man, I wish you could be with me. But you'll be with me in spirit. I'll be texting you every minute as much as I can. Because I think channel starts right when you wake up at 3 p.m. California time, which might be 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. your time.
I think it's 8 a.m. my time. So So I'll probably wake up, first thing in the morning, probably like 7:30, have breakfast, and then once 8 o'clock hits, I'm just like, probably 1:45, I reckon, just to see what it's like a couple of minutes before the panel starts, and yeah, that's when it's all going to go down. Yeah, just so, yeah, it's really, really all really exciting with San Diego Comic-Con. And yeah, again, I know we're still waiting to hear about what does the cast mean, whether it's going to be, voiceover artists, the actors, actresses, or the puppeteers, or a bit of both. I really hope it'll be a bit of both. I think it would be nice. I just think it'd be nice to see the puppeteers uniting with the voice actors that are voicing the characters. And I think you might have chatted to me you probably chatted to me, but one of the ideas I think you had was, if they brought all the characters on stage and you could just have a bit of banter between the puppeteers and the voice actors trying to lip sync.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. I know.
But yeah, I pray, my hope that the puppeteers are involved, because yes, the voice actors are amazing. It's a lot of great talent, acting talent from some Academy Award winning actors and actresses. But for me, the puppeteers and people behind the scenes have always been the heroes for me. And they were people in the sets, their hands over their heads for a year, bringing these characters to life. And that is so much work. And historically, those people are forgotten. Historically, those people don't get the credit that they deserve. So I really hope that Netflix and Henson or whoever's in charge brings the voice actors, anyone who's available, whoever they choose, to San Diego Comic-Con so we can cheer them on.
No, they definitely deserve like a big thunderous applause. If it happens at San Diego Comic-Con, I think that would just be an incredible moment. Because, yeah, I mean, they really deserve it. Deservedly, rightly so. And, I mean, talking about all the puppeteers and all that, I mean, of course, as we sort of mentioned, I mean, this was sort of a bit of a surprise of Netflix released posters. Every single character, well, not every single character, but majority of the characters that are going to be on the show, on the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So I think IGN was the one that sort of had the big scoop that sort of followed at different media outlets, but IGN were the ones that had all the characters, in their gallery and had high resolution images as well. So we shared those ones on our Facebook page, which you can visit it at facebook.com/Dark Crystal Podcast. And if you click on photos and if you click on the gallery for the Age of Resistance characters, I'll put these in the show notes anyways, that you can browse through all these characters, which is all really exciting. And yeah, I mean, I was more surprised that they just dropped it all, all the characters and of course they announced, all the voice actors, the voice cast, I should say, that are associated with the characters. So, which is really exciting to really get to see, the other Gelfling characters, what they're going to look like and what the Skeksis characters are going to look like. And it was pretty incredible.
It was amazing and quite frankly shocking. Like some of the characters that were revealed, like the Heretic, which is a new Skeksis, and some other characters like Kadia, Annika. Those are characters we hadn't seen. Of course, they also announced Lena Headey, however you say her last name. She's a voice actress. They unveiled who Helena Bonham Carter is going to be voice acting, which is the All Madra of the Vapra village, which is Brea's mother. I mean, not just that. We saw a mystic, which was Irva. We saw so many things. We found out the new Fizzgig's name, which is Bafi, and he's got an eye patch. I mean, we see kind of Agra full scale. It was great. I mean, I was actually shocked that they weren't going to, let some things be a surprise. Like, for instance, maybe when we first see Irva on the show, that it would just be a surprise, because a lot of people didn't realize that, or were asking, are there going to be mystics in this? Where are they? We didn't see them in the trailer. Of course, worthy questions for sure. But I'm just hoping, and I would imagine, that there are way more surprises in store. Whatever the case, it's just really thrilling to be able to scroll through all these high resolution photos, look at the amazing detail of these characters, and see what more there is.
And I mean, probably, with the voice cast, they now saw, Lena Headey, and also probably a big one for you was Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Who's voicing I think she's just voicing a myth speaker.
Yes, which is controversial. Yeah. No one knows what the myth speaker is. My suggestion, or my supposition, is that she is the narrator. The show will open with her voice. She will be sort of the Galadriel, talking about, maybe, hopefully, I don't really know how they're going to open it. I've talked about this before. Maybe it's going to be a little bit Lord of the Rings, where you hear this voice and then you hear or you see elements of the story that they're telling, that they're trying to kind of tell you what's happened, where we are, what this planet is, who these creatures are. Just an idea. I don't know.
I think it would be good to sort of have that bit of that prologue, just to, get people, fans new and old, especially new fans that are getting introduced to the Dark Crystal for the first time, just to get a bit of an understanding of the world and just where it's at, that sort of thing. So I definitely believe that having, potentially, having Sigourney Weaver as the narrator, it would be pretty awesome.
Can't go wrong with Ripley.
Oh, no, not at all. So, yeah, because, of course, you host Perfect Organism, an Alien Saga podcast. So, again, just these crazy connections, with all these different franchises all in Dark Crystal. I think it's almost like Age of Resistance. The voice cast is pretty much like the equivalent of, an Avengers, the Avengers Endgame, that cast was incredible. And, we're sort of getting something like the equivalent of that as the voice actors, in the Dark Crystal. I mean, even in general, I'm like, I don't know any animation film that has had like a massive voice cast like the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, it's unprecedented. I've never, it's interesting because as we move towards August 30th, which is the release date for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, everything is kind of like passed away for me. Like, I'm just focused on this show. I mean, of course, we have Stranger Things, which is releasing here in the States tonight. I don't know when this episode is going to be published, but by the time you guys are listening to this now, Stranger Things season 3 will have been out. But Stranger Things is the next biggest thing. But then we have Age of Resistance is really the next big tentpole. But there's nothing like it anywhere. Like, and nothing else even interests me. I mean, of course, I'm interested in Stranger Things season 3. I love that show. It's been great. The quality's been amazing. There's actually another show on Amazon opening the same day, August 30th, called Carnival Row.
Yes, and that's with Orlando Bloom and
Kara.
Yes, Kara, yeah.
And that looks kind of fantastical. She looks like she has some wings. I don't know anything about it. There's no real formal teaser, which is interesting. Less than 2 months to go. But aside from that, there's nothing remotely like the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And I think I just get this feeling that the world is like, what is this? People can't even make sense of it. They just know they have to watch it. And this is just an exciting time to be alive, for sure.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And I think I probably joked sort of in group chats here and there, and I think I joked about that, I mean, I feel like the only person who's really missing from the voice cast is Keanu Reeves. Because as we know, I mean, Keanu Reeves, he's been on fire this year, especially with, he voiced in Toy Story 4, and he was in, John Wick 3 and the Netflix movie, Always Be My Maybe. And he's voicing a character in a video game coming out next year, Cyberpunk 2077. I just feel like I think he's like the last missing piece.
Maybe. He's so identifiably Keanu Reeves. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard him. I know he's also in Toy Story 4.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if he would fit in this show, but I think if the creators felt like he could, then he certainly would. Maybe he's like Hup's brother, like, I don't know what Hup's brother would be named, but he'd be like, dude, come on. We got soup to make.
Get in the kitchen, man.
Chop those potatoes.
Yeah. I mean, there we go. I mean, we figured out who to cast Keanu Reeves
Totally.
as. So yeah, we figured it out. So yeah, but I don't know. As a son, just a little joke. That I just thought, it's just, I feel like he's just the only one missing, and then I think that's pretty much everyone from Hollywood.
It's just, again, it is amazing how many people, the caliber of talent behind the voices of the show are. And of course, everyone's been getting a lot of attention. But again, I really want them to pivot to the puppeteers, because they were, again, they did the lion's share of the work, and they just need all of the attention that they can possibly get. So I can't wait to see what happens. But my question to you is, what do you think of those photos, the character photos themselves?
Oh yeah. I really like them all. They're all really impressive. I know there has been a lot of not controversy, but more just criticism about, I think, the lighting in these photos seem a bit too bright with some of the photos. But I mean, besides that, I mean, like I'm not a very nitpicky kind of person. I mean, the lighting itself, doesn't detract me from enjoying the photos. Because again, I mean, these photos, they are for publicity. So, I mean, we don't know if these are stills from the show, or whether, they've been, or if they are from the show that they're photoshopped, or, I mean, we don't know. I really enjoyed them all. And I think, I mean, especially, I mean, for me, I was really curious about Cadia and, of course, the Heretic Skeksis. Which, I mean, we don't know exactly which Skeksy he is, because when I first looked at it, he looked like Skeknar, but I know a lot of people were saying, it could be Skekung, the Gartham Master, because, of course, this is before the Gartham are created, of course. But his, the face paint that he has sort of really resembles one of, Brian Froud's original sort of concept pieces for, that you can see, I think, in World of the Dark Crystal book. But yeah, I think I was more interested in just seeing what all the other Gelflings look like, especially with Cadia, because he's a new character. And I think what was sort of the big surprise for me was a lot of the characters that got announced had been featured in J.M. Lee's books, with Shadows, Song, and Tides of the Dark Crystal.
Yes, Naya looks like Naya is in the show. I don't know to what capacity, but we see Naya. There's been some discussion that she looks older. The puppet itself looks older than what she's made out to look like in the books. But I also don't know the timeline of the books. I've only read the first book. Actually, I didn't finish it because I refuse to read any more of those books before the show comes out. Like, I don't want to be spoiled whatsoever. And I know that the books circle around some of the same things that the film or the show does. I just want to be careful. I really do. Oh,
yeah, totally. And like, I mean, that's the thing. I'll be posting an article about on darkcrystalpodcast.com, sort of like the recommendations to, if you, with a big reading list of what books, if you wanted to read about, if you want to know a little bit about the world of during that age of Resistance, and Joe's books are definitely, and Creation Myths are probably a good way to sort of to start off with. But then again, it's sort of like, if you want to be really spoiler free, then yeah, I would definitely, I would probably recommend waiting until after the books, after the shows come out to read the books, because especially with books 2 and 3, more so with those ones that seem to tie in with the show. Well, really with book 3, there's a couple of moments in book 3 that's sort of like, oh, I think that's going to be in a show somehow. So yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of those tie-ins. So I mean, that was really the big surprise of seeing Naya and Kylan and Annika, Mordra, Argot, and even Reki. He was in the books as well. So yeah, that was probably the biggest surprise that I sort of got seeing those posters. And so yeah, no, it was just, yeah, again, just interesting about the whole connective tissue and between the show and the books. Yeah, it's just, yeah, just really interesting. And who was your sort of favorite character that you sort of saw, you know, from all these announcements?
Well, to be honest with you, it's so hard. I mean, I do love Deet, but I'd seen her before. There was one character in a picture there's a picture of Deet. Now these, I'll get back to your original question, but there's a character that's standing behind Deet, and she's looking at one of the guards. It looks like a castle guard, but she doesn't look like she's at the castle. This character has like a green forehead, and his hair looks different. He just looks amazing, and I was like, oh my god, that character looks awesome. I don't know who that character is. The name Mitjin has been bandied about. I'm not sure that that's him. Aside from that, to answer your specific question, Kylan looks really mysterious. He almost looks Asian as a Gelfling. He looks very serious. And I'm really intrigued as to kind of who he is and what his capabilities are and what place in the story he occupies. But I'm also going to touch one thing. We were just kind of talking about the photos themselves. You know, it's great to see the characters. I think the only thing that kind of gave me pause is it kind of looked like someone said, go with your iPhone and take some photos of these characters, and some of them look plasticky or they didn't look real, or not real, but real within the context of the world. And I felt like, oh man, these amazing artists and actors and puppeteers and writers and all of these people who put in the hours to bring this story to life, I just felt like the character photos were less formal. And they look more like look like that there's a flash, so it flattens them a little bit, and it gives off a reflection on the skin, which looks like it might be whatever they used to make the Gelfling puppets with, or the rest of the puppets. And I just felt like, man, this does a disservice a little bit to the craftsmanship. But a lot of the photos are great. The detail in the costume's amazing. That's just my personal. I just felt like everything has been amazing. I just felt like the photos themselves missed the mark a little bit. They could have taken, you know, each character after they've had their scene, take them over to a part of the set, take a formal photo by the photographer, as opposed to taking photos with someone who looks like they were using an iPhone and they kind of comped that crystal in the back. But that's just me being granular and discussing minutia. But it was just amazing to get all of that content. And it's also important to note that some of those characters were being released by the voice actors themselves. They were coming through official streams like IGN, and they're also coming through Entertainment Weekly. But then some of the actors were saying, hey, here's a character that I'm playing or that I'm voicing. And they were releasing it, like, I think Harvey Fierstein released a photo of, he's Cadia, I believe, right?
So he is playing, sorry, I'm just going to
the Gourmand. The Gourmand. That's who he's
the Gourmand, yes. Yeah.
I think it's Eddie Izzard. I'm getting Eddie Izzard confused. He plays Cadia.
Right, yeah. Yes, he does.
So it was great to kind of see via Instagram and other outlets all of these kind of character images coming in. And plus, we got a little bit more Instagram information as well that we haven't discussed.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. And like, before we finish off, you know, talking about these images, I will say, like, some of the Skeksis, they definitely look straight from the original film, you know, especially with the Chamberlain and Skekung. Sorry, I should say Skekzok. And quite a few of those characters of the Skeksis. They look pretty spot on. So no, I think they did a fantastic job.
Oh my god!
Just can't wait to when the show comes out. It's like
eating with your eyes. your eyes can't, like, I was looking at some of the Skeksis and just the level of detail in the clothing, and not just the detail, it has that kind of used, worn look that the original has. And sometimes, when people go back to recreate things we've seen 30 years ago, it looks a little newer. It doesn't look quite, your eyes like, it's okay. Something's not right. Not quite right. Not with these. All of these characters look like they've been living in their world for years and years and years. I'm so excited.
Just a lot to look forward to, and I'm sure there's going to be so many more characters that we're going to be introduced throughout the show that we haven't seen. So, and I think this was pretty good, because that was a big thing I was really concerned about the show, is whether they will reveal any like character photos, sort of getting audiences, new fans or old fans, to sort of getting to know what these characters look like and what clan they might be from and all that kind of stuff. Which, I mean, talking about clans, they actually, I think with Netflix and probably Henson Company, they actually created Instagram accounts for the clans. So far, they have created an account for the Vapor clan, the Groton, and the Stonewood clans. And each of them have like sort of descriptions about what the clans do, which was really cool. So I don't know whether to go through each one of them, but yeah, you can find them on, I think if you go to Instagram.com/Vapor Clan, and again with the other clans, /Stonewood Clan, and of course Groton Clan. I'll put these in the show notes as well. It just comes with the 9 images, and they sort of all merge together into one big image, and each post sort of has a bit of a caption about getting to know each of the clans. So which is really cool, yeah.
Yes, the clan, official clan Instagram accounts are really, really interesting, and I really love how far they're going out to create this world and to make the world exist in its own way, and then make the clans exist in their own way. Again, this is just whoever thought we would be here at this point in time when the Dark Crystal is getting this much love. It's just great. It's almost too much to take in, but it's not too much. It's never, it's never enough. Well, it's enough for sure. But it's just, I can't even believe it. I mean, here I am, like, loving the Dark Crystal all of my life as my, it's in my top 5, probably than either 1 or 2 top films of all time. I make my own Dark Crystal creatures just to kind of have sort of my friends hanging around me. And here we are, like, and now we're like these kind of specks in this pool of other people as we await this show that's going to transform filmmaking again. It's going to transform puppetry again. And the world isn't going to be the same again because of this show. And we're here to witness that. And it's just, it's an amazing blessing. It is amazing privilege to, and sometimes people go, oh, it's just a movie or it's just a show. But stories are so important in our lives. Stories really impact us. They help us tell our own stories. We can see a part of ourselves, and sometimes in the characters that we know and love, like you and I have discussed about Jen and Kira and why we love them and who they are and how we see some of ourselves in that. And now we're going to have a whole, or dozens of Gelfling that many of us will see parts of ourselves in. Some might love this, some might love that, some might love the Skeksis more than the Gelflings. It's just, it's just amazing.
I mean, especially with me, with reading the books, Kylan was actually one of my favorite characters from the books, so I'm very excited to see what direction they're going to go with his character throughout the show. So, like, I'm excited about Kylan and pretty much all the characters. It's just such an exciting time, and just for this, really, that there was like a 1-film franchise, and I know in the early 2000s they did try and push for a sequel, Power the Dark Crystal, and I had multiple projects in development, and they all just sort of fell through. And I think for a lot of us, a lot of the fans, that grew up with the Dark Crystal, we just thought after that, we was just like, oh, don't think we'd ever see any more Dark Crystal stories. And yeah, I mean, here we are in 2019. It's just an incredible year for fandom, and I think we're sort of in the same position. Like, even back in 2012, talk about Star Wars when they announced the sequel trilogy was going to happen. And here we are in 2019, and we're up to episode 9, which is apparently going to be the last film of the Skywalker saga. So it's just, yeah.
And it better be 3 hours long, too.
Yeah, I know. I know. I feel like they definitely got a lot to wrap up. Yeah.
And then we need an Age of Resistance Season 2 announcement right after.
Yes, yeah, I know. I know. There's just so much to look forward to, and we're just fandom in general. But Dark Crystal, it's just coming back in a huge way. So yeah, I mean, you can definitely check out those Instagram accounts, and also I did do some investigating, and I actually did find out that 3 out of the 7 have been created that have had posts, but they have actually created different accounts for the Seafar, the Sprite, and the Dowson, and the Drenchen clans. So those accounts have actually been created, but they just haven't been posted yet. So I'm anticipating that there'll be more of those posts coming out, probably maybe in the weeks to come, or maybe probably sometime in August, before the show is out. That we'll definitely get more information about the other 4 remaining clans. Again, just so much Dark Crystal happening, and yeah, we're just really just getting started. Yeah, and I think that'll probably wrap up for this episode of Trial by Stone. I want to thank everyone for listening and tuning in to the podcast, and yeah, we just got a lot to look forward to. We got a lot of stuff that's in the pipeline for Trial by Stone. We're still working out a few details here and there of what we're going to do, like once the show comes out, with interviews and possibly after shows, or sort of these roundtable discussion reviews of each episode. So there's a lot to look forward to, and we'll definitely keep you all posted. So of course, with the podcast itself, we will be back probably sometime after San Diego Comic-Con. I think it's in 2 weeks' time. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, sometime after San Diego Comic-Con. You'll definitely hear an episode from us. But in the meantime, we'll still have episodes of the Gathering songs as we're slowly wrapping up with Tides of the Dark Crystal books. And I think part 5 is going to be the final episode of the Gathering songs for now. And as well as with the Dark Crystal minute, minute 23 will be the last episode, or at least, having a bit of break as we decide to just go back to making, just focus on making episodes of Trial by Stone and focusing on content for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And those shows, they'll probably come back down the track, but yeah, we'll just put them on hold, and yeah, from here on out after those shows, it'll be all Trial by Stone from here. So yeah, just a lot to look forward to. And yeah, I mean, even with the comics now, it's like we've got new Dark Crystal content coming out each month for a long time.
Yep, it's an exciting time. I can't wait.
You've already taken too long, Gelfling. Hurry!
At last, the crystal calls. It is time to return to the castle.
The crystal calls! To the crystal chamber!
And that's all the time that we have for this episode of Trial by Stone. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do so at darkcrystalpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/darkcrystalpodcast. We're on Twitter at darkcrystalpod. You can follow us on Instagram at instagram.com/darkcrystalpodcast. We also have an official website for Trial by Stone, which you can check it out at darkcrystalpodcast.com. If you like the show and you think that others would love it too, then please write a review for the show. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much, and stay tuned for the next episode of Trial by Stone.